Kit, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm looking forward to having this chat with you. But by way of starting, it would be great if you could introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about your role and the company that you work for.
Sure. So I'm Kit Burcham, Head of Sales Transformation and Director of Operations for Insurance at NTT Data Inc. And NTT Data is one of the world's largest IT services organizations, and we specialize in advisory, core modernization, data, and BPO services.
Maybe just to kick us off, I'd love to understand the theme of what we're talking about today is about being future ready. So maybe if you can share what you're doing personally to make sure that you're future ready.
I think where do you start with that? There's so much going on in the industry at the moment. I think for me, it's about spending time just reading up and finding out what's out there from a LinkedIn perspective, but also from a broader internet point of view. I think from a business perspective, we are trying to make the most of the research and development house that we've got behind us. So we are a Japanese headquartered organisation, and we spend around $3.5 billion a year on research and development. So a lot of that is going into Gen AI, and a lot of that we're looking to introduce and test in-house ourselves.
Okay.
So from my point of view, it's reading up, it's being curious, it's researching, but it's also testing.
So Kit, I'd love to understand a little bit about the challenges that the IT services industry are facing at the moment, and maybe a little bit around how AI can help overcome or solve some of those challenges.
I think there's lots of challenges going on in the IT services space at the moment, and I think it's about speed, it's about change, it's about clients expecting a lot in a very short period of time. And I think also from a business point of view, it's about identifying the right decision makers in the mix. So one of the big value adds from a LinkedIn Sales Nav point of view is getting the team focused on using that and actually identifying all of those key stakeholders and decision makers, mapping that out into the org chart, and actually having a clear close plan and understanding who needs to do what in order to close the deal out in a timely manner. From an industry point of view, there is so much change going on. Cybersecurity and constant threats, changes within the political environment are all having effects on decision making. There are cost pressures within organisations, and our clients want to do more with less. So for us, it's about identifying how to become as efficient as possible from a solution point of view, and really sort of being able to carve out our differentiation in a market that is quite saturated.
So thinking about the challenges that salespeople are facing, are there particular elements of Sales Navigator that you've seen help your teams grow and be successful?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sales Nav has helped us significantly. We introduced a key account program 18 months ago, and we needed to identify the key stakeholders within the account and really map out that org chart from a decision making and a buying center point of view. And the teams have quite successful gone about that, and we've got detailed understanding of the lay of the land and who the key stakeholders are. But there's a lot of other additional functionality that we make use of. So from an informational point of view, new starters, leavers into and out of the account, we keep track of, and it's really, really important to get in touch with those people who are new into the organisation. That is the best time to be talking to them and offering help. From an information point of view, and what's happening in the organisation, LinkedIn will serve that information up to you. And we're encouraging the teams to use that before they go into the client, just so they're aware of the latest news that's appeared in the headlines. I think from an account IQ point of view, that is also incredibly useful for the team. But ultimately, it's about focusing on the key facets that Sales Navigator serves up, and getting the team to use that to the best of their ability. So they're going into the client completely armed and prepped for the meeting.
Yeah. I feel like meeting with any customer, whether it's a brand new customer or an existing customer, researching them, understanding their business. These are very sort of old age, things that sales leaders and salespeople need to do.
Yeah.
Make sure that they understand the customer. So it's good that you're getting that sort of benefit from Sales Navigator.
Absolutely. No one wants to be the person that turns up to a client and hasn't seen the latest headlines.
Yeah, indeed. When you think about sort of bringing new things or new ways of doing things to your sales team, your role is head of sales transformation, or part of your role is head of sales transformation. So I'm really curious to understand maybe what are the things that you do to ensure that the actual behaviours change and that you're getting the value out of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish with a new solution or a new way of doing things. How do you make sure that they make the change that you want them to make?
That's a good question. Ultimately, it comes down to communication. So why the need for change? Being able to clearly articulate that to the team, to the organisation, what's not working, or how could we become more efficient at doing something. It's organising it into a structured programme of work, or individual projects, and it's also spending time identifying key people within the organisation that will act as champions for that project, for that programme. So for large CRM implementations that I've run before, we've identified key people within the business that can act as those champions within each of their business units, and they become the spokespeople for the program. So it's members of the actual team speaking to their peers and selling the change, as opposed to it's coming from coming from me. It's
almost helping them understand, like from the ground up, what it's going to do for them, how it's going to benefit them, or
absolutely,
how it's going to make their life easier.
Absolutely, and it's about involving those individuals early, so they get to understand the benefits of that solution or new way of working. And they become the best advocates and the biggest advocates for it, because ultimately it makes their lives easier and their team's lives easier. But it's also about spending time and sort of fostering an environment of support. So you need to take time. Change doesn't happen overnight, and you need to take time to make sure that people understand the reason for the change, understand how to use a new system or tool or technology, and be there and be supportive for them. We introduced a rule on the last program of work where we rolled out a new CRM, where we would roll it out to the business and there would be no changes, no development for the first 6 months. So just bed the system down, get people comfortable with working with it, no upgrades, no new bells and whistles. Use that time to take feedback from the end users and then start building that into a future program of work.
Kit, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed chatting with you today. Really appreciate the insights that you shared. It's been a pleasure.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.